Hello, everybody. Testing, 1, 2. I'd like to welcome everybody to the post-fight press conference for the Fedor versus Hendo fight here. We just had, thought we had some amazing fights. I thought the main event was just another unbelievable back and forth fight. And when you think of Dan Henderson, you think of Fedor Emelianenko. I can't remember the last time I could say that they were boring fights, and tonight they showed why they are the legends that they are. And we had a lot of great fights on the undercard, and as you know, Tim Kennedy fought on the undercard, Tyron Woodley fought on the undercard, Robbie Lawler fought, Tarek Safradine. A lot of good transitions back and forth. We had the female fight, new champion Misha Tate, congratulations to her. She had a great submission victory. And let's just open up for questions for the gentleman right here.
I was just explaining that it was just blood on my face. I think I got hit 8 times in that fight, all the times when I was pushing the action. So I just wanted to make sure that they knew that I was totally fine. I was never hurt, and it was just blood. Get over it. I don't know, for some reason, guys see blood and they're like, "Oh, that guy has damage on his face." Dude, I cut. It happened. So I just want to make sure that they knew that I was fine. And I wanted to win. Honestly, I was worried. Anytime you go to the scorecards, I hate going to decisions. I've been pretty vocal about wanting to see the changing and how they judge fights. That's why I hate going there. Of my 13 wins, I had 12 finishes. Now it's 14 and 12. Which kind of makes me mad. But so of course I was worried. Anytime I'm going to judges, I'm worried. So. It was because of the blood. I knew I'd control the fight. I knew I was pressing forward the whole time. I knew I had cage control. I knew I landed more strikes. I knew I landed the only takedowns. But you never know. So I just want to make sure that they understood that it's just blood. Get over it.
So guys, you've got 2 both got big wins tonight. Do those performances, I guess, put a game plan in place for the vacant title, or is that still a decision you're making?
Yeah, that's something that we're going to go back to the office and have a conversation internally. But I would think that Tyron and Tarek are going to be the front runners, for that vacant title when that does happen.
Should I sit in between you two?
No.
Scott, you mentioned a couple weeks ago that the Fedor and Henderson fight certainly was one of the top ones you guys ever put together, but you wouldn't know until after the fight whether it was the best one in Strikeforce history. Where do you stand on that now?
If you look at that fight, I think that stands right up there. I think that when you look back at the history of Strikeforce, which is relatively a newer company, I think that the ones that stand out in my mind are in the early days were Frank Shamrock fighting Kung Lee. That was an unbelievable matchup. And I think of Nick Diaz fighting Paul Daly. I think that was this year. Unbelievable fight. And I think this one probably tops those 2. So it could be arguably one of the best fights in the history of our company. And I think the fight definitely stood up to the billing, which doesn't always happen, right? So my hats off to Fedor and my hats off to Hendo. And my question is there anything that Dan Henderson cannot do? Because I want to know. This guy is unbelievable. So Misha Tate's here, our new champion, and should be open for questions.
Hey guys, please wait for the microphone.
Thank you. Misha, congratulations.
Thank you.
Great win for you. With Gina Carano and Cyborg Santos kind of on hiatus from MMA right now. With this victory, do you feel that you become the new face of women's MMA? And if so, is that a role you're comfortable with?
I'll let the fans decide that. I just know that I became the new 135-pound world champion, and I'm happy with that. Happy to represent women's MMA. And, the rest I'll just leave up to you guys. we sit one over here? Good.
Misha,
Oh, gotcha.
before the fight, you said that you wanted the most of all to submit Marlos because you've never been submitted before, and it's just a beautiful setup. Can you kind of talk us through that submission?
Yeah, it was right there. You know, I saw that as my opportunity, and a lot of people praise her for her submissions. And you know, I wanted to really go out there, and I saw that as a challenge. You know, I want to beat her at her own game, and you know, I'm the first person to submit her, and that feels really good.
Misha, how much danger did you feel like you were in? She had your back for most of the second round. At any point did you realize that you were getting subbed?
I didn't feel like I was in danger of getting subbed at any point, but I knew I wasn't in a good position. I wasn't happy there, but she had really good control. I tried to kind of edge out, get my back on the mat, and look to turn in, but she kept switching her feet around, and so I figured, you know what, I'm going to have to come out in the third round and really take it to her in the next rounds because I was just trying to get out of it, but it wasn't working. So I didn't feel like she was under my chin at any point, or, you know, I felt her kind of lock under one arm, and there was a possibility for her swinging out for an arm bar, so I just made sure to go to that side and just be preventative at that point.
Questions for Misha. What's the biggest thing you took away from training with Team Alpha Male? Do you plan on switching over there permanently or making a return straight there again?
I'm sorry, what was the end of that question?
Do you plan on going back permanent or back and forth, staying over there permanently?
Well, I love training in Team Alpha Male. You know, I think the thing that like I said, I've learned the most there was the way to make the heart of a champion and your mental aspect. There's a bunch of overachievers there, and they kind of just paved the way by example of how to stay tough mentally and emotionally. And I love training there, you know, so I'm definitely happy.
Misha, of course, you know, there was a big deal, you know, recently in the past about the women's fights, you know, before we were at 3 minutes and you moved up to the 5 minutes, and then, of course, going into the championship rounds. How did you feel going into round 4, you know, knowing that you were going to have to 5-on-5? You definitely upped your training, so how were you feeling in that, you know, throughout the fight? Did you win and your cardio feel good?
I think I felt pretty good, you know, considering I felt like I was recovering pretty well in the rounds. But, you know, I had to dig deep because that was a very challenging fight. You know, she's the toughest girl that I've fought, and she has a lot of experience, more than I do. And going into those rounds, you know, but it doesn't matter. Like I said, if there's only 2 seconds left and I'm down the whole time before that, I'm still going to be looking to finish and win the fight. You know, I'm a gamer. I'll come in there and fight, and that's what I love to do, and I was having fun out there.
Just so I don't forget, Mr. Contender, thank you so much for the speech you gave after the fight. Nothing could be better said. Thank you so much for standing up for our country. I said it before, but whoever did the last speech afterwards. Anyway, but question is for Kurt. I think 17, I think I said it right that time. Scott Smith was very static. He just stood there to the point where you were throwing crosses and overhand rights, and you kept switching your stance and everything. Did you know you had him when you were able to land, you know, your back right hand? You weren't even setting up combos with your jab anymore. And were you surprised how static he was, and then eventually just went for maybe one shot at a time? You just started taking it apart that much. Were you surprised? Were you hoping you weren't going to fall into a trap he was laying, or how did you feel about it?
You mean how tough he was?
I mean, like when you were fighting, he didn't use lateral movement. He just stood in one spot. You started off with combos, and after a while, you just start landing with your backhand, which anyone who knows boxing, I don't want to cuss, but that's kind of that's a way to show I'm faster than you. You're not going to be able to counter me while I, you know, hit you with crosses. Were you surprised he wasn't using lateral movements? Did you know after that he's either setting you up to walk into something, or there's no way he's going to outstrike you, and that's his game plan?
You know, Scott Smith is this guy who goes forward pretty much all the time, you know, and I watch a lot of his videos before, and you know, he hasn't changed his style I don't know, he hasn't really changed his style. So, you know, I stick and move, try to pick him apart, and you know, if my overhand was I have to watch the video again. I don't remember a lot, but I think I should have maybe landed a little bit more of my right hand or left hand. I don't know which stand I was, but so yeah. Thank you.
This is for Misha and also for Marlos. In your speech after your win, you mentioned something about your training camp started out pretty good. It was rocky at the end. What did you mean by rocky at the end? What happened at the end?
You know, I just had a lot of stuff come up, you know, and some, I guess you'd call it some injuries that I had to work through towards the end. You know, I don't really want to like elaborate on anything, but you know, it was just tough, and it was like I said, I had an amazing start, and I really had to push through to the end. You know, change up some things that I couldn't do, but I so desperately wanted to get in there and fight her no matter what. I think I would have fought her with a broken arm, you know, because it killed me last time to have to back out, and so I was 100% determined no matter what, I was going to come in there and give her the best fight I could.
For Marlos, so what's kind of like your thoughts about what happened at the finish and coming out of the fight?
First of all, I would like to congratulate Misha. She is a new champion and she deserves it. To be honest, I was quite relaxed in the fight because in my mind I was convinced she could make me tap, and in training I often come in that position and I hardly ever have to tap. For me it will be my trainer Martijn, and I will analyze the fight. I'm gonna train really hard. And I want to come back. I want to have my belt back, just like Sarah wants her belt back. But for now, it's Misha, and I congratulate her.
For Scott, do you think that the stoppage, her being stoppage in the main event, was the correct call? And do you think both Fedor and Dan will fight in Strikeforce again, or might neither of them ever fight for Strikeforce again?
Well, when I watch the main event, and I watch it just alongside with everybody here in the media, and it looked like when he hit him with that uppercut, he flattened Fedor out. So I felt that his legs did go, and he was hurt, and he was injured. So therefore, I think the referee did the correct thing. And I think he watched carefully to see what the response was, and you know, at that time Dan was just doing what Dan does, and you know, 30 seconds earlier it was Fedor, you know, doing that to Dan. So. But I think the answer to your question is that it was a correct stoppage. As far as fighting in Strikeforce, I hope we will have them both back. So that's my answer.
My question's for Tyron. Congratulations. They're still undefeated, and you have to feel like you can taste that title shot now at this point. Do you feel like there's anybody else left in your way to get to that title shot? And would you be satisfied with anything less?
Hello? Yeah, there we go. At this point, I mean, I definitely wouldn't be satisfied with anything else, you know. I didn't ask for the fight against Paul Daly because he was a cakewalk. You know, I knew he was the tough guy, heavy hands. But I knew stylistically wise it would be a great fight. Not that I was just taking him down, as you've seen, he stopped some takedowns. But also he got cracked in the head a couple of times and knee to the body. So I think we both evolved a little bit, and you know, he's been criticized for basically not being as rounded as other fighters. So I knew going into this fight, he was gonna look for me to take him down quick. You know, that's why I was able to land that overhand right. And also he was gonna be working on the wrestling areas which he neglected in the past. So I definitely thought, you know, this fight would put me in a position to be in the world title, and I still have that same idea, and I don't think anybody else in the weight class is deserving. I feel like I'm the #1 guy in the weight, and you know, I think I should be fighting for the world title.
This is for Scott. There's some things going around on the internet saying Strikeforce is dead, so on and so forth. Obviously, Strikeforce isn't dead. I think it was a great show, an amazing show. You had the seats filled. What is your response to this?
I mean, here's the thing: is, you know, there's gonna be a lot of critics out there, but you know, that was a you know, something I heard from day one. And if you look at the fights that we've been putting on consistently over the years, and our relationship with Showtime's been fantastic. And if you look at our fighter roster, It's an unbelievable fighter roster, and really those are the stars of the show. And I feel like our fighter roster is fantastic. It's going to continue to grow, and I feel good about where we're headed.
Mom also going to ask you a grappling question. When she put Neon Belly, I was hoping to ask you a grappling question.
Yeah.
When she put Neon Bellies with the side control and you had your arm locked up, for 1 second, if you remember, you reached to grab your own leg to defend the choke. Did you not have a good enough hold to neutralize her attack?
I think I underestimated what she did, because normally that's what I do when I can twist and get out of it. That's why I was like, well, she cannot make me tap on it, and it's almost the end of the round, and well, she made me tap.
Question for Fedor, Ron Kruk with Inside MMA. Fedor, do you feel that fight was stopped early?
Ну, мне кажется, да. Мне кажется, рановато остановить бой. На мой взгляд, я мог продолжать.
It seems to me, yes. It seems to me objectively, I was ready to continue fighting, so yes.
I know you say your future is in God's will, but what are you feeling now, having lost 3 straight?
Ну ничего, жизнь продолжается, слава Богу.
Nothing. Life goes on, thank God.
For Fedor, would you have any interest in a rematch with Dan, and what were your thoughts of Dan's performance in the fight?
Дэн замечательно боец. Всегда следил за его карьерой, и бой провел он хорошо. Мне казалось, что я чувствовал его. Вот. Чувствовал, что можно с ним побиться, можно победить. Но насчет реванша будет видно. Уже много реваншей собралось.
Well, Dan's a wonderful fighter. I've always followed his career, and he fought a great fight. But in there, I felt I could go toe-to-toe with him, and that I could win the fight. And with regard to a rematch, we'll see. But it seems like a lot of potential rematches have built up with my last few fights.
Fedor, if you do fight again, will it be in the United States, and will it be for Strikeforce, or might you fight in Russia, might you fight in a global card, might you fight in some other promotion?
Если ты будешь продолжать драться, ты ожидаешь, что будешь продолжаться драться в Америке, в Strikeforce, или ты, может быть, будешь драться в России, в один или в другую компанию?
Сейчас не могу сказать. Наверное, выйдем, обсудим это с менеджером, с Вадимом. Какие будут предложения, какие будут предложения.
I can't really say right now. That's something that I have to sit down and speak with my manager, Vadim, and see what kind of offers and opportunities would be out there.
Questions, guys? Still a few minutes away from having Dan Henderson.
Pete, it was one of the rare fights where you were the larger fighter. Can you talk about once you got in the cage book, how did you feel about his speed and even his power? How would you guys reaction in the cage?
Это был один бой, где ты был побольше боец, чем твой соперник. Когда ты уже почувствовал его времени в клетке, какое мнение твое было, как ты чувствовал в отношении его скорости или его силы, жесткие удары, как ты видел его скорость и его силу?
Нет, можно было биться с Дэном. Я думаю, что по скорости можно было подстроиться. Вот, и по силе тоже. Я думаю, я не уступал. Вот. Ну, случилось то, что случилось, то, что значит так должно быть.
Well, I felt that I could take his power, and I felt that with time I could start timing him in terms of his speed. But I felt comfortable in there. But what happened, and you know, that's what the result was.
While Ariel's thinking about his next question, we're going to talk about the attendance at the gate. So tonight's attendance was 8,311 with a gate of $638,470. So that's tonight's gate and ticket count. And as we're waiting for Dan Henderson, I'd just like to say, when we were talking about this fight earlier, the fight card top to bottom, I always said, look, I think this is arguably one of the heaviest stacked cards we put together, and I think this fight card delivered. I'd like to thank you guys for performing. And I said with Fedor and Dan Henderson, this is going to be a fight where they're going to go to the center of the cage, and there's going to be some fireworks, because these aren't going to be the kind of fights, or these two guys are not the kind of fighters that are going to have to look for each other. So it was great to see. It was as a fan, not just as a promoter or somebody that just being like a fan. I mean, it was an unbelievable night of action, and the Fedor Dan Henderson fight, I think, lived up to all its hype, and I'm proud of both those guys. Ariel, I know you're ready now.
I'm ready, Scott.
Thank you.
Been waiting for this your whole life. You're actually one of the few Strikeforce fighters in the organization now who fought for Strikeforce before they were on Showtime. One of them kind of like local promotion in the Bay Area, and now you made all the way here, and now you're the champion. And you seemed very emotional after the win. Can you describe how you were feeling when the fight was over at GTAC?
Yeah, actually, no. I can't put words to it. It's like, man, the best day of your life times 100. I feel like I've evolved with Strikeforce, and I've been so honored and grateful to be with Strikeforce on their journey, and then now the merge with the UFC, and it's been a lot of hard work, but they believed in me and they gave me these opportunities, and I've been making the most of them, and I'm going to continue to do that. And this was my night to shine, and I'm just so thankful to be here tonight.
And Scott, for you, we remember her fighting for you again prior to all of this. Did you think that she had it in her to be a champion?
One thing about Misha is you always knew that the will and the desire and the mind was very strong. And through, like you said, through her journey, we've seen her develop and get better, become technically better. And actually tonight, I thought she looked really strong, stronger than I've seen her look, in the past fight. So that's her will and her desire that's affecting the outcome of these fights. And I think the sky's the limit now. And I think that for her, it's just a matter of what she wants to do at this point.
This question is for Mr. Milling. You speak often that it's up to God what you will do in the future. I respect that. I love you as a fan. You're my biggest MMA fighter idol. But I want to know, what does Fedor want to do? What is your goal with MMA now?
В говорите, все зависит от Бога, и я имею очень много респекта и уважения к этому. И я вас очень люблю, как журналист, как человек, который тоже болеет и любит этот спорт. Но я вас спрашиваю, что бы Федор хотел, что вы бы хотели продолжать делать в вашей карьере?
Сейчас я бы хотел скорее вернуться домой. У меня дочка родилась. Вот, и я этому безумно рад. И очень благодарен своей жене за этот подарок. Вот. А что касается ММА, я не знаю. Я думаю, в ближайшее время я буду знать. И вы узнаете также. Буду знать. Как продолжать.
Right now, what I'd like to do is return home to Russia to see my newborn daughter, who was just born, and who I'm very fortunate for this beautiful gift in my life. But with respect to MMA, I just have to think about it and decide, what I'm going to do in the future. Just have to think about it.
This question is for Mr. Kennedy. You had a great performance tonight. But I don't think anybody expected you to be that dominant for 3 rounds like that. So my question to you is, number one, is that what you expected? And number two, what are you looking for next? Do you have somebody you want, or you just want to take it as it comes?
I knew I was going to be that dominant. I don't mean to sound conceited, but I'm very confident that I was actually extremely disappointed that I didn't finish that fight. My hat's off to Herb Dean for not stopping it in the second round. There's a lot of blood. There's a lot of blood, and I was really worried. But I'm going to go out there and keep going. He was surprisingly evasive. I was really frustrated with the tentative countering game plan that he had. I think he was like, my chances to catch him coming in, and then we had 15 minutes of that. So I'd move forward and move around and try to blast him, and then come inside. And that's not the fight I want. I want the Fedor and Henderson fight. I want the dude to meet me in the middle, and then we go at it. Maybe I'll pick him up and slam him and try to knock him out or submit him. But it's a couple of fights where guys have been just kind of backing up, waiting for me to come in. That's dumb. Meet me in the middle and fight me. I train too hard for me to come and chase a guy around a cage. So if you're fighting me next, I'm really looking at Rockhold and Jacare. The winner of those guys, I hope I have the honor to meet for the title. And you better meet me in the middle and fight me. So I'm going to be prepared.
I have a question for Scott. We just talked yesterday at the weigh-ins, and one topic that we covered was Alistair Overeem. A big bomb was dropped, and it started like maybe 2 hours after I spoke with you. We learned that he was cut from the company. That being said, with the semifinals coming up for the tournament, what are the plans for the heavyweight title?
Yeah, I'd just like to confirm that, Alistair Overeem has been released from his Strikeforce contract, and he will no longer be fighting for Strikeforce. And as far as the heavyweight title of the picture, that's something that we're going to circle back next week and have a conversation at the office, and we'll get back to you. But clearly we are going to be looking for another heavyweight champion in the near future. And guys, as far as going into detail about that whole thing, we're not going to go into any contract details. We're not going to go into anything else about the Overeem situation. We have some world-class athletes here, some legends here, and I think we should give them the respect that they deserve and focus on tonight's efforts. Thanks.
For Fedor, do you still have a passion for mixed martial arts? Do you love this sport? Do you love the competition? Do you love the training? Or is this something you've had your fill of and now you're more interested in spending time with your family and staying away from your sport?
Вы знаете, я практически всю свою сознательную жизнь провожу в тренировках и нахожусь в спорте. И, конечно, мне хотелось бы еще выступать, и, безусловно, я буду тренироваться, и, конечно, хотелось бы выступать. Но посмотрим. На первом месте, конечно, вера в Бога, на втором месте моя семья, для которой я живу. А работа и все остальное это уже после. То есть сейчас хочу скорее домой. Меня ждут дома мои девчонки.
Sorry. My entire adult life and young life, all I've known is training and fighting and competing. And that's something that I very much love to continue doing and still enjoy. And I'd still like to, for that to be a large part of my life. But today in my life, what's in its first place is my faith and my religion, and then my family. Those are the people that I live for. That's what I live for. And then my job and what I do for work is secondary to do, or behind those two things. Right now, what's most important for me is to go see my girls, because I miss them and I'd like to be with them.
Tyron, this question for you, and also, sorry for calling you Tyrone. I didn't realize there wasn't an E on the rest of your name.
I know everybody had E.
And I'm white, I don't know all people are named Tyrone. Hey, Olivia, sorry about that. Tyron, you use great using your hips, pushing forward on it. Were you forcing him to use the closed guard because he didn't have space to get away? And then were you surprised when he finally did open his guard up, that he actually went for normal blocker?
Well, I knew he wasn't going to submit me with any submission he attempted, so for me it was just basically looking at the next move once I got out of that position where I was going to pass through. He's a guy that, especially in the initial takedown, he gets up really quick, and he's very hard to hold down. I watched that a lot on films. Usually the first one or two takedowns, he's up and he gets to the cage and he gets out. That's why I made it very important to circle him away from the cage and try to get some punch. But he did a great job of controlling my hands. And you can't really see that when you're in there. But, you know, I landed a few good elbows, good strikes, but he did a good job of closing me. I was never really in threat of submission. I mean, he's not known for submitting people. And, you know, I trained with American Top Team. If those guys can't submit me, I don't think Paul Daly was going to submit me. But, you know, he's definitely a big guy. You know, he's a lot bigger than what I thought he was. Hard to get my hands around him. But, you know, I think I did what I needed to do to get the job done.
My question is for Fedor. You came into this fight you made some changes in your game. You came in over 10 pounds lighter than your last fight. And
I'm sorry, I missed it. Could you repeat that? Sorry.
Yeah, sure. You made some changes in your camp. You came in over 10 pounds lighter for this fight. You worked with your brother a little bit. You did a lot of work in Holland. Is there anything else you think that you could have done differently to maybe improve the outcome?
Нет, я думаю, что все сделали правильно, что форма замечательная. Ну, значит, так надо.
No, I think we did everything correctly. I was in great shape. I prepared very well. Just, you know, what happened happened.
This is another question for Fedor. Like you said, you know, you came in about 10 pounds lighter than usual. I think you weighed in at 223. Is that a prelude to you possibly considering going down to 205, or is that something that you have to talk about?
Нет, я не думаю, то есть не было специальной сгонки, и я не придерживал специальный вес. Все получилось так, как получилось. Наверное, тренера меня сильнее гоняли, чем обычно.
No, not necessarily. I didn't specifically try to make a particular weight for this fight. I wasn't trying to cut weight. Just after my training camp, that's the weight that I happened to come in at, and you know, maybe just my trainers intentionally worked me a little harder than they usually do, and that's the only reason I came in at that weight.
Question for Dan. Now got it done in 3 different weight classes, still have the belt at light heavyweights, but where does this win against Fedor rank some of your big victories?
Probably right up on top. You know, I've admired Fedor as a fighter, and you know he's very dangerous, and you know you know it just means a lot more to me than some of the other victories I've had. You know, personally, but you know I'm like I said, I'm a huge fan of his, and hope he continues to fight.
One quick follow-up. Could you take us through the end of that fight? I mean, after the scramble.
You know, by looking at the video, it looks like, you know, he knocked me down off balance. I was aware the whole time, and you know, was just working to get up on a single leg, and I think I knocked him off balance, pulling him over top me, and took his back, and saw an opening for a nice uppercut right up, you know, when he's on his hands and knees, and that just dropped him. So it landed. I don't think he was, you know, expecting that at that time.
Right here, Dan.
Okay.
Okay. This is your first fight against a heavyweight, and would you be open to more fights against heavyweights, or was this just a special occasion against a legend?
Excuse me. Well, in the past, I've fought quite a few heavyweights before coming back from Pride. You know, I'm open to fighting whoever. You know, it's all a matter of what the fans and everybody wants to see, and what makes for a good matchup. And you know, Fedor made sense. He's not a huge heavyweight. You know, I'd like to stay away from the real big guys. But yeah, I'm open to whatever. But you know, I'm more comfortable at light heavyweight than any weight class.
For Dan, Fedor said in the cage immediately afterward, and then again here, that he believes the stoppage was too quick and that he was still defending himself, and that Herb Dean should not have stopped the fight. How do you feel about that?
You know, I guess you'd have to ask Herb Dean about it. You know, but yeah, I think for me, I was focused on hitting Fedor at the time, and I know that he dropped pretty good the first time I hit him, and got on top to hit him some more, and I kept getting bumped to the side, and I didn't realize Herb was pushing me for a while. So, you know, I think he stepped in as he saw Fedor land the first time, face first.
Does it bother you that Fedor feels that way, or do you feel like he's entitled to that opinion and you may or may not agree?
I'm sure there's a lot of people going to agree and disagree about the whole thing, but you know, for me, I felt like it was a pretty good stoppage. I wasn't going to go anywhere if the ref wasn't on, you know, pushing me off. You know, it would have been done. I feel like it would have been done pretty quickly anyway.
This is Greg Coleman. A question for Fedor. Because of your incredible invincibility for such a long period of time, because of your last 3 bouts and the losses, people have this question of what is wrong with Fedor. Was it a situation where on each of those nights, the guy was just better than you, or what in your mind went wrong or right?
Да нет, ничего не случилось, ничего не поменялось, все по-прежнему. Все так же. Просто, наверное, люди должны понимать, что я не машина, не робот, а обычный человек, который имеет право, в принципе, на поражение.
Nothing's really different. Nothing really changed. Everything is basically the same. It's just that, you know, people that say that have to understand that I'm not a machine. I'm not a robot. It's just that there are good moments and bad moments, and that's what's happened in recently.
Question for you. We all know you have a very serious attitude towards religion, and there is a Russian saying, "What if you throw it?" Do you think those three losses can be taken as this kind of thing you gotta move on and get over it? And do you thought about this going into this fight? Do you have
Can you hold the mic and just repeat it? I'm sorry.
We all know that you have a very serious attitude towards religion, and there is a Russian saying, "What if you throw it?" So have you thought about this going into this fight after the previous two losses, and if you pay any attention towards this, and what he's going to do next? Move on, get over this, just a simple step, and how he's taking this from the last one.
Can you repeat the Russian saying?
Знаете, ну, я не уверен, что эти слова подходят к моему случаю. Вот. Но никакой результат, даже самый плохой, не может во мне убить веру. Слава Богу за все. Я всегда это говорил и всегда буду говорить. Значит, Господь наказывает тех, кого Он любит. Поэтому я только рад.
I'm not sure if that saying actually applies to this situation. No results, even the worst results, are something that can kill my faith. And I always say thank God for everything, and I'll always continue to say thank God for everything. And I'm very, I feel very good about God's love.
My question is for Marlos, and you still seem very miffed over the whole situation. Like it seems to me that you feel that you could not believe that she could make you tap out, and you still feel very confident about your skill. Do you believe in a rematch that you are that confident that you would get the win, that she cannot beat you again?
I think when you have tapped on a night that you cannot be too arrogant, so I have to suck it up. But I believe in my skills, and I believe also in my willpower, and I will come back. I will train harder as I have ever done, and if the people, the audience, Scott, Showtime, Zufa, if they still believe in me, they will give me another chance, and I hope they will do that.
A question for Dan. You said coming into this fight that the first round would be crucial, and that did it go down the way you thought it would? You guys came out swinging at each other. Is that how you anticipated it going down?
No, actually, I didn't anticipate that at all. I was expecting a three-round decision. Both of us are tough to knock out. I wasn't going to get submitted by him, and I typically don't submit guys. So, I thought that I wanted to win each round. I wanted to try and hurt him, and wear him out I wanted to wear him out the first round, make him carry my weight around a little bit, make him flurry, but he came out swinging right from the get-go and kind of caught me off guard, but, left me no choice but to swing back, I guess. So, he definitely came out to fight.
Got one more question?
We've got some questions now. We'll have limited time for one-on-ones out here, so if you guys have anything, we'll take a few more.
Shoni Carter.
Hi, Shoni.
Chicagoland Sports Radio.
All right.
Dan, given the opportunity of this magnitude facing Fedor, be as the outcome as it went down, do you see yourself open to the willingness to give him a rematch if
you know, if that's what the fans and everybody wants, yeah, absolutely. You know, I've got no problem. I had a good time with that fight. You know, it was a little bit different than some fights, but you know, even though this is the first time I got stitches in a long time, but yeah, whatever the fans want. You know, I was kind of hoping to defend a belt or, you know, or unify a belt, one of the two.
Yeah, you pretty successfully, it seems, put on some weight for this fight. And what did you do, and did you do anything in particular different than you've ever done before? Because you seem physically a lot bigger, and you muscled him around pretty well, and he's a bigger guy than you.
I didn't feel like I muscled him around. You know, I came in, I weighed in 2.5 pounds heavier than my last fight, you know, so, and I ate a lot and drank a lot the week of the fight, you know, which I typically, you know, I was peeing a lot all day today because I had to drink so much yesterday. So, you know, I lifted weights pretty much my normal weight training for when I fight 205. And if I was fighting 205, I would have, you know, not weighed 207, I probably would have weighed 206 or 205. So, you know, I really didn't try to put on weight. I just, other than the last few days, making sure that I came in over 206 because the athletic commission requires it. So, but, you know, I didn't feel weak, but I didn't feel like I muscled him around at all.
Again, you know, thank you guys for coming tonight. I think there'll be some limited one-on-ones, like Ryan said. I'd like to say a couple of things. One is, the 5 of these 7 athletes up here came from our Strikeforce Challengers, which is our next event, August 12th in Las Vegas at the Palms Hotel and Casino. So please put that on your calendar. And then